This is my second video about tips and tricks for PvP matches. If you want to see the first, such as the varmint rifle and the shoulder switch, all the other standard tips, then check out the link in the description. This video is for more tips in addition to those tips. Now this first tip is about the expanded minimap. The minimap starts out kind of small in this game, and it's hard to see people around you and see things that's going on in the session or in the PvP match. But if you go to free roam first and expand the minimap, then that will carry over from then on. So when you have this expanded minimap, you can see a lot more about what's going on around you and see your enemies coming. And it'll give you that little bit of extra drop. And then you can actually expand it more from there temporarily by hitting down on the D-pad. So this will allow you to see even more temporarily in addition to the already expanded minimap. This next tip also has to do with the radar. As you can see, what we're doing here is I'm crouched down. There's a guy over the hill out of view firing. You don't see him on the radar. You won't see him until he comes up over this hill where he's on camera. But if I'm looking the opposite direction than my guy, you still won't see him. It doesn't matter what your character sees, it only matters what's on your camera. It doesn't matter if they're sprinting or firing, they'll only show up on the radar if they're on your camera. So the tip behind this is to spin the camera like this to look around and see people. As you're running through the woods or on maps, and you're not sure if somebody's coming after you or around you, or you're trying to find people. And it helps on certain game modes, like this particular one, to spin your camera and it'll pick up people nearby on radar that you may not be able to see with the naked eye because it's such a jumbled mess of maps sometimes. So you spin that camera around you and take a quick glance and start showing up on the radar as little red dots. The next tip is about an ability card called Slow and Steady. It takes place of the painted black Deadeye card, so a lot of us were hesitant to use it, especially those of us that played the old Red Dead. We wanted the old Deadeye style, but once you switch to this card, it totally changes your game. While you're in Slow and Steady, which it can stay on for quite a while, you can't be shot in the head and take a lot less damage. So when people are trying to shoot your head, you're literally shooting back at them, taking them down in twice the time that they're trying to kill you. In addition to that, it really increases the accuracy. Guns like this, for example, the carbine repeater. You don't have that reticle shrink so much, and you don't have the diminished accuracy of the other guns. So while you're in Slow and Steady, your guns are more useful than they would be outside of Slow and Steady. So not only can they not shoot your head, but you have a more likely chance of shooting their head with your weapon. And then in addition to that, guns like the varmint rifle are even more accurate, which is seemingly impossible, but the already maxed out accuracy of the varmint rifle is just completely overpowered with the Slow and Steady on. Here, after this kill, you'll see me using the varmint rifle for a pretty long distance headshot, which is pretty standard for the varmint rifle, and it's actually usually better than this. But when I activate the Slow and Steady, it actually increases the accuracy of the varmint rifle and makes it an even better shot. The final tip is about how you can keep your Deadeye filled so you can use things like Slow and Steady throughout the entire match without having to worry about your Deadeye. So you can buy things, for example, which I do, is cheese wedges, which that will refill your Deadeye core, the center circle. And you can also do things like chewing tobacco that will refill the outer core. So during the match, if you load up on them, you can refill your Deadeye core and your outer core. And you'll be able to keep using your slim as much as you want. It's there's different ways you can do it. Cigars are a pretty cheap way to fill your core, and then you can also use other things for your outer core as well. But tobacco and cheese are my favorite. And then also, in addition to that, like you can see here, if you run out without having to go back to free roam and buy all this stuff, you can actually buy snake oil during the matches right on the other page from your ammo purchases. So you can buy your snake oil, and that'll work to fill up your outer circle. It doesn't fill your inner core, but it does fill your outer core, which honestly is what works better anyways. The inner core drains really quickly. Your outer core will drain a lot slower. Here you can see, as long as you keep your inner core filled, you can keep on taking your chewing tobacco or your snake oil and refilling that outer core while you're still in slow and steady. So there's a lot of times where you can have people all around you and you're just in the shit. You can literally just keep refilling your Deadeye core and stay in there and directly hide in Deadeye. Keep